What's up, Chocolate City Live, flyer promo now. It's your boy Noah Logic, the interviewer. I'm here live with my man, Rodney Perry. How you doing, Rodney, man?
What's up, dog? You know, we out here in great city of Atlanta, chilling.
ATL, that's what's up, man.
Yeah.
It's raining a little bit out there, but, we're going to be all right.
Yes, sir.
Man, you actor, comedian, host, you all over the place doing it big, My first question for you is, before winning the 2002 Bay Area Black Comedy Championship, what was things like for us the grind? What did you and up-and-coming comedians in that area have to do to get exposure?
Man, it's so much you do before people start to know about you, man. Like I was in the Navy for 8 years, so I was in the military. I was on active duty, but I was still doing my comedy, So it was like my job. During the day, I was a Navy guy. At night, I was slanging them jokes at the comedy clubs, the coffee houses, and things of that nature, man. And my career has been kind of blessed in that, the people, my contemporaries, have always taken a notice. One of the first cats to notice me was George Lopez. George Lopez took me on the road with him early on, and George, we see him now as a mega star comedian, TV show, late night talk show host, all that good stuff. But George was selling out comedy clubs back in the day, and he took me under his wing, man, and I was able to learn a lot from Lopez, And even before I won the Bay Area Comedy Competition, I won in 2002. 2001, I participated, and I didn't win. And what I like to tell, the up-and-coming comics is it's not always about the win, because that's the year I met Cedric's road manager, Ced the Entertainer. I met his road manager, Kelvin Bland. And Kelvin, he and I just bonded on some just dude level. Just like he was cool, I was cool. And he was like, dude, I'm going to hook you up. And people say that all the time. Yeah. But he really did it. 2 weeks later, he called me. And he said, man, at that time, Sid had the Budweiser commercials, those Bud Light commercials. And so he had a tour bus and everything. And that was my first glimpse into what it could be like, outside of the grind, in my talent pool, I'm a Chicagoan, but the Bay Area was my comedy home where I really grew up the most. And so Cat Williams was there, Lou Nell was there, who's from Borat, my man Dugard, cats like John Austin, who was our guru. He was the old veteran when we was young bucks, that would show us the game. So all in all, man, the grind don't change, but you can't let it beat you. You know what I'm saying? You can't let the grind beat you, because the grind make a lot of people retreat. And that's when you see what people made out of. I just seen a lot of people stop. I seen people that was way funnier than me that quit. And I'm like, dude, you can't, how you gonna quit? You was my inspiration. I
always tell people that, different artists that haven't made it there yet that I talk to or interview, try to tell them how important, the network is, the relationships, and basically learning your craft. You know what I'm saying? Don't be scared to learn your craft, to get educated on your craft, because it's going to help you out and open some doors.
Absolutely.
So you kind of answered one of my next questions I was going to ask you, because I heard you had a big Navy fan base, back in the day. So I was going to ask, what made you pursue that? But you just answered. You said you was in the Navy already, and I guess you saw a void there.
Well, the Navy for me. The reason I joined the Navy in the first place, I've always been a comedian, but you don't really know how to go about it early on. And so real life, it kicked in. I got my first daughter on the way, and my mother was taking care of me. And so I was at a crossroads in my life, either let my mother take care of me and mine or do something. And the something I did was the Navy. And so I was working at a shoe store, and I was walking to work in Monroe, Louisiana, hot as hell on a summer day, and a Navy recruiter stopped me. He's like, dude, can I give you a ride? I was like, hope this dude ain't on no, Rudy Poo stuff, but he gave me a ride, and he began to ask me questions. Yo, man, what's your goal? What you doing? And I'm like, I'm right now I got a little baby on the way. I want to go to school, and I'm a comedian, all that. And he was like, dude, I can get you to college now. He's like, I can get you, all that stuff. So he did his pitch to me, and 3 days later, I was in San Diego in boot camp. You know, and I joined the Navy, but the comedy was always in my heart. So, you know, as soon as I could get to a stage, I was on it.
You was doing it.
Yeah, and my first duty station was New Orleans, Louisiana. The only time I've ever stopped doing comedy for any period of time was in New Orleans. I just got to town, and before that, I had only done like coffee houses, which is kind of friendly to a comic.
Yeah.
My first time on stage in New Orleans, it was a gong show. When I tell you, these people gonged me so hard, dog. I'm talking about they gonged me in such a way that people was asking me after the gong why I was still there. It was terrible. So I stopped doing comedy for maybe, I want to say, about 2 weeks.
So that was bad.
And inside that 2 weeks, I met my best friend to this day, a man by the name of Harry Ratchford. And Harry and I formed a comedy team, Ratch and Rod Comedy Explosion.
Okay.
And we kind of began to work together. And Harry's, you know, he's not a working comic now, but he writes. He writes for Kevin Hart right now. Okay. And so he's still doing his thing. But, you know, he brought me back in because I saw how funny he was. And I was explaining to him, I said, dude, you should be a stand-up. And he was like, I ain't doing it without you. And so we became a team. And we did that for a couple of years, you know, until, you know, real life started calling him. He started having kids, and you know, my passion just kept getting stronger and stronger for comedy.
Okay. I mean, I know it may not look like it, but I'm also an ex-squid. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Navy man.
You saying, dog?
Lifelong buddies.
You saying, dog? I was Great Lakes. You know what I'm saying? Injamin.
I was about to say you got some brains if you was in Great Lakes. Yeah.
But another thing I want to ask you is, like, since the industry has attracted you to want to go, you know, have a career in it, has it changed much? Would you say, you know, expand on like some of the good or bad things you've seen that's changed in the comedy industry since you've come in?
Well, the game is the game. You know, we tend to get exposed to different elements of the game as we move up the ladder. So I don't think the game is no different now than it was 100 years ago or 50 years ago. I think we as black people have more opportunities now, but those opportunities, with more opportunities come new pitfalls. That's new pitfalls. Like say for instance, you got when Eddie Murphy hit, there was no comedy outlets. Now you got BET, Comedy Central, HBO, Showtime, they all comedy. So what happens? Now the market becomes oversaturated almost. You know, so you got, when Def Jam first hit, there was a feeding frenzy on black comedy. Now you can flip on your TV in any minute. So what has happened? The audience has gotten savvy. You know, the comics that, see, when I wanted to be a comedian, I looked at Eddie Murphy. When these guys wanted to be a comedian, they look at Rodney Perry, they look at Foolish, they look at Damn Fool, they look at, it's a lot of people to look at now and to mimic. You know, I wrote this piece called Theft by Osmosis. I think some comedians don't realize they steal material, you know, and it's not always their fault because they've been bombarded with comedy since they was 4, you know. So now when you have what you feel is an original thought, you got to have a checks and balance. You got to have a homeboy to go, dog, man, this is so funny. Have you heard this before? Because if you don't, then you end up regurgitating somebody's material that's 5 or 10 years old. You might not know them, you never met them, but you seen them.
I think producers and songwriters experience that same thing.
Absolutely. But this is what comics don't have. Comics don't have, you know, when you sit on the couch on a talk show and you're a musician, they say, who are your influences? Comics don't really get to have an influence because if you influence too heavily by a single comic, then you steal it. You know,
they're gonna be looking to do the same thing.
But the way the industry is, the industry needs to compare you to something. Like if you too far in left field, you could be before your time. Like I've seen like comics that you like, this dude is brilliant, but people ain't gonna get it. You know. So the industry is the same, but it's different. I wouldn't trade it for nothing, especially the comedy, because comedy is pure. Comedy is the last true form of expression. When I'm doing my stand-up, I'm the writer, producer, director. You know, I do it all. I wear all the hats, and I love that.